Hi guys, Buildzoid here, and today we're going to be going on an adventure. So this video is going to be pretty long because this right here is a single stick of Samsung's new 8 gigabit D-die. Yeah, single-sided stick, 8 chips, 8 gigabit chips, at X8, so this is a single rank, 8 gigabytes. A2 PCB layout, this is of course a green OEM Samsung PCB. These can do okay. Like, I have a E-die stick with OEM green PCB Samsung, and it'll do like what is it, like, it'll do 4000 CL12, it just won't do particularly low TRCD, but, yeah, so the PCBs can actually be relatively okay a lot of the time. I think the bigger issue with a lot of these OEM sticks is that the binning process that Samsung has is very different from what you have, like, at, say, Corsair, G-Skill, Team Group, Patriot, Crucial, right? All of these, like, consumer memory brands, they bin a lot harder than your server, like, data center bins, because the data center bins is like, does it run JDEC? And JDEC's 1.2 volts, and it's just like, it's loose, it never goes above 3200 megahertz. It's honestly kind of terrible. And then when you look at like the actual bins that you see on like retail kits, you know, you'll have like 3600 CL16, which is like, that's like 400 megahertz higher clock speed than the highest JDEC bin, and it's also at like 4 ticks lower cast latency than the highest JDEC bin, which is just like, yeah, JDEC bins kind of suck. So this is rated for 2666 out of the factory, I don't really have high hopes for this being some incredible D-die samples right here. But at the same time, we should be able to, like, the thing is with B-die, you have like extreme variance chip to chip, but hopefully this is relatively consistent so we can get a good idea of what D-die might behave like. You can identify that the part number on the memory chips ends in 5WD, but I'm not going to show you that because the camera can't really, like, well, we'll see. That might be legible on one of the, like, there's a 5WD letter, like 5WD is written onto those chips. Anyway, so we'll just throw this into the MSI X570 Unify, which, thank you MSI for providing the motherboard here. Thank you Patreon for paying for the memory stick, of course, because I did buy it on eBay. It was rather cheap. So there, and we are going to be using my 3700X, so thanks Patreon for that as well. Now then, let's get this disaster on the road, because actually I want to show you the postcode, so give me a second, because actually I have an idea. Transform. We're gonna crop left. Wait. Nope. Well. Okay, I actually did way too little for that. 200. 1,000. Okay, we can go way more than that. 1,500. Okay, that's too much. Basically, I want to be able to have you see the postcode, so there we go. Because if you can't, like, like, watching the postcode is a big part of memory overclocking for me. Doesn't necessarily always mean that I know what it's telling me, but I like, at some point you start noticing patterns in terms of what you screwed up and what it ends up with on the postcode, and it's a good way to figure out if you're gonna have to mash clear CMOS or not. So yeah, anyway, there we go, and close, and let's power this up. I guess I could have also just, like, pointed the camera at the postcode and, like, zoomed it way in. That would have probably worked as well. Might have worked better. Might have been less jank to, like, instead of doing all the cropping in the recording, but too late. So anyway, F1, and I need to set up a projection right now, so Ta-da, we're going to go into advanced mode. We're not going to load up any profiles. Now, this being a JDEC 2666 bin, this actually defaults to 2666. This is one of the sort of neat things if you're buying OEM memory sticks, is if you buy a 3200 megahertz Samsung OEM memory stick, it'll default to 3200 megahertz. It's not like your if you buy like a 3200 CL16 kit, you need to go enable XMP to get it to run 3200 CL16. If you buy otherwise it might run at like 2400, 2133, 2666. But if you buy a 3200 megahertz JDEC or a 2933 JDEC kit, that's literally the JDEC spec. Like it'll just default to 2933 or 3200 megahertz. The timings will just be atrocious. I think 2933 by spec is like CL20, and then 3200 megahertz is like CL21 or 22. So the timings are disgusting, but the frequency is good right out of the box. We're gonna set the CPU to 42 because basically I want to standardize for the like IDA's CPU tests scale with CPU performance, so we want to fix the CPU clock speed so that boost isn't like changing the results all the time. We're gonna override our SoC voltage. We're gonna set it to 1.2 volts. It's on the high side, but it's plenty safe enough, and it does help with your memory overclocking. We're going to set this asynchronous. We're going to set 1.05 for the CCD because the CCD doesn't really like voltage that much. The IO die, we're going to mash a bunch of voltage into that. We are going to start at 1.35 volts. Actually, it might be a better idea to no, we're going to go straight to 1.35 volts. There are some very early DDR4 memory ICs where if you go above like 1.3 volts, they start scaling negatively. As in, they clock worse if you raise the voltage even a little bit. But I'm hoping here that's not going to be the case. Again, I've never tried this memory stick. This is the first time I'm dealing with D-die. I did check something on the internet, like, to get, like, saw some info on the internet, but it was basically like, oh yeah, it can sometimes, like, somebody managed to do like 4533 with this apparently, so we'll see if I can get there, though. Generally, well, 4600 tends to be pretty easy on the Unify, so we'll see where we end up. It might have been a good idea for me to swap to the Godlike, but, well, the thing is, the motherboard is actually crammed into, like, a very small area on my space. On my small area of space on my desk, so not really an option, in my opinion. So, yeah, we're just going to set that, then we're going to go digital all power. Going to set a relatively droopy LLC because I don't like the CPU that much, but there's no need to destroy it with really aggressive LLC settings, especially considering that I'm setting the voltage relatively high. I set 500 kilohertz switch. We're not going to touch that. Load line calibration for the SoC we're going to set relatively low, like rather low droop, because the SoC is not a high current rail. So it's not a big deal. We're going to max out the switching frequency, not a high current rail. The memory, the SoC VRM on this board is super overkill, so we're just going to mash 1 megahertz switching frequency into that, and we're going to do the enhanced OCP expander. And now we're gonna save a profile. So we're gonna go OC profiles. We're gonna use 1, and we're gonna clear it, and we're gonna set a name. D-die testing. I'm very good at typing, as you can probably tell. And we're going to save this. So this is like a starting profile right now. We haven't touched the memory yet, so I'm just going to go F10 and... Really? I'm pretty sure we changed a bunch of stuff. That seems to be bugged out. Okay, so of course it posts at, auto memory speed, no adjusted anything. So now we're going to start tweaking the memory. So yeah, default timing is 2020. So 2666 defaults to is supposed to be 19 TCL, but gear down mode, so you don't get that. So we're going to go 20, and then we're going to go like 26, 26, 26, 46. And we're going to go for these timings for the primaries super loose to start out, because I don't know how it behaves in terms of TRCD. I don't know how it behaves in terms of TRP. I don't know how, never use this memory IC. So we're just going to loosen out everything to like disgusting levels. And then we're going to see where it goes in terms of frequency. And we're going to open up all of our timings, though we're not going to adjust any of them yet. On-die termination, CAD bus. We're probably not going to actually touch... Well, we might tweak some of the drive strengths later on, and maybe the proc ODT, but we're probably not actually going to bother with that. A lot of the time, the motherboard sets them well enough that it'll boot. So we'll save and reset with that. Because sometimes, like, I have run into certain memory chips out there, back in the DDR3 era, where if you set your TRCD too loose, they stop posting, which is hilarious. And I think it's like... Or actually, it might have been TCL, where if you went over like 10 TCL, it wouldn't post. And it's just like, well, that's a thing, right? Which makes it really like awkward when you just crank up the timings like this right off the bat. So let's try 3200 at CL20. I'll be very surprised if this doesn't boot, but you know. It would be very frustrating, but of course it boots because the timings are horrific. I guess we could do maybe like a 3200 CL14 test, right? So first, let's see if all the usual suspects will be able to sell this to you as a 3200 CL16 bin, right? Like, who doesn't want to know? That's 3600 CL16. I mean 3200 CL16 timings, right? I'm not sure if it's 38 or 36 for TRAS for the typical XMP profile that you see, but let's try if that works. And we are just going into the BIOS here because I'm not fussed about testing like stability until we have some settings where it's like, okay, this might actually be fast, right? So we're going to be doing a whole lot of this. So now the question is, can we do 14 TCL at 1.35? Nope. Okay. That's a big nope. F9, the motherboard can recover from. So that's not promising, right? We're already on with 1.35 volts, and it doesn't want to post 3200 CL14. So I get the sneaking suspicion this is not going to be a B-die replacement. Yeah. Might clock high. I guess it might be like a Rev E CJR alternative, but like we really needed more of that, right? Like, because, you know, so I just hit the clear CMOS right now, which the Unify comes with. Very useful button if you're into memory overclocking. Otherwise, it'd be like a jumper on the motherboard somewhere, but... And you can, like, if you have the motherboard in a case, you can always wire up the clear CMOS to your, like, reset jumper or something. That's, in my opinion, a relatively clever way of doing things. Board? Okay, so it looks like the pop-up menus today are just completely broken. Which is odd, considering it was working earlier today. Like, this is the first time I run into that. Anyway. So... we could try crank up the voltage, but I don't want to start doing that just yet. So we're going to go 2026 again, and we're going to go high frequency. I'm going to go back up on the clock speeds. So... 3200 works, so let's see if 3600 works. Okay, so that seems to work. So it can clock, kinda. It probably just can't time, which is like, yay, we really needed more ICs that can clock and can't time. So, I mean, at this point, we're just going to raise the clock again, though I do want to set this to be divided by 2, and we're going to go straight to 4000. Yeah, that seems like a reasonable jump. So the CL20 at 4000 megahertz is actually, like, not completely terrible. It's like not completely terrible, but yeah, it's like equivalent to 3200 CL16, so it's really not surprising that that works. What next? Let's go to 4266. Okay, so now we're actually getting some latency improvements, because 4266 at CL20 is actually tighter than 3200 CL16. Yeah, and it is 20, so that's neat. Let's see if we can do 4400. Okay, 4400, like, that's not terrible. That's not that bad. It's kind of surprising that it, well, 3200 CL14 is pretty hard. That's like a frequency to timing ratio of 225. And right now we're looking at a, well, 220. Yeah, right now we're looking at a frequency to timing ratio of 220. So actually 453 might not work. I mean 4533. Yeah, no. We might need like, for 4600 I'd expect we need like TCL 22. So we can try that, but I'm really a huge fan of that. Did the recovery actually work for once or not? Yay, the recovery worked. Okay, so the memory retry thing barely works a lot of the time, so I'm actually surprised that that works. So let's try 22, 4533. Now, obviously, if we crank up the voltage, we should be able to work the cast latency down, as well as maybe a lot of the other timings. And yeah, so 22 makes it work. So yeah, so that's at 1.35 volts. This kit right here wants to run like a 220 ratio to the frequency. So let's see if we can do 4600. And 4600 tends to be where the Unify and this CPU walls for me. Like, I can't really clock above this generally. So if we can go above this, so like with B-die, a lot of the time I can't go above 4600. So if we can go past 4600, that this stuff is probably pretty light on the memory controller in terms of its driving requirements, which would be, yeah, it might be a good like frequency attempt type IC or something like that. But yeah, let's not. Let's go to 4666 because again, I normally wall at this point, and oh yeah, now that works. Now this works. Yeah, weird. Anyway, so we're gonna save to overclocking profile 3 right here. Because I don't want to wipe out the starting profile yet. So let's see if 4666 works. And no, it doesn't. Nope, no, it doesn't. But, well, if we're lucky, it recovered. But that honestly could just be a memory, like a motherboard wall. So I really need to test, like for high frequency, we should really be trying like the godlike, because that one's actually meant like the godlike's supposed to do like 200 megahertz more than the Unify. Some of the ITX boards should also do better in terms of frequency. So this right here is just like, yeah, so this could very well be motherboard limited, and you know, probably if I spent some time fiddling with like the drive strengths, the on-die termination, and where is it? Well, honestly, just those. Like, yeah, like just the termination settings and the drive strengths. If you fiddled with that for long enough, it might start working at 4666. Actually, let's try 20, because we're just gonna drive everything harder, and that can sometimes work, but I don't have high hopes. I did set it to 4666, right? I did. Okay, so that does work. Neat. I am learning. So Now, we should still be within the ratio for the next step up. So 4733 and F9. Okay. I think at this point we're really hitting the limits of what the motherboard can handle. So I'm not going to push it much further. So now we're going to go back down to like 3600 megahertz and see what kind of timing we can do. And then if at 3600 it's promising, we might also try like high frequency, low timings. But it clocks high. It clocks really, really high, and it's not very difficult to run. So that's kind of neat. So, and obviously you might be like, but you didn't test if it's stable. 4600 megahertz on most CPUs is just a bad idea in general. Like on Ryzen, it doesn't make sense because your Infinity Fabric is so horrific. Like you're out of sync with your Infinity Fabric. On Threadripper, it actually might be viable, but the Threadripper memory controller, well, I don't think it's the memory controller itself on Threadripper. I think it's just the complexity of the motherboards that really kind of screws over the memory overclocking a little bit. Like you lose compared to mainstream Ryzen, Threadripper does not clock quite as easily. Yeah, where was I going with that? And then on the Intel side, 4600 tends to be around the limit of a lot of CPUs. So I do eventually plan to test this memory chip with my 9900K, and we'll see how it does there. But for now, we're just going to test it on Ryzen because this memory controller is also kind of forgiving, right? Compared to the Intel one. The Intel one is like sometimes things just don't work, and it's very upsetting when it does that. So we're going to try 18, 24, 24, 42. We're also going to pull up all the subtimings. So things I'm really interested in is like how low can we push the TRCD? Because again, like the biggest differentiation between like BDI, Rev E, and CJR is CJR and Rev E both have a really high TRCD relative to the frequency. So at like 3600 megahertz, Rev E, you're lucky if you can do like TRCD 18. But if you're at like, if you're on BDI at 3600 megahertz, honestly, you can do like TRCD 14. And, that's like 4 ticks less TRCD. Similar with CJR, where CJR will do like TRCD 19. So anyway, we're going to try this. So 18 should work for our cast latency because, again, 3200 CL16 works. 3617 might also work, but 3616 won't, I think. Yeah, because that should be outside the 200 ratio. And by 200 ratio, I mean if you divide the frequency by your cast latency, what value you get with that. So if we go through 3600 divide by 16, yeah, that gives us a ratio of 225. So 3600 CL16 is the same sort of ratio as 3200 CL14, which also means it's effectively the same cast latency because the timings are measured in clock cycles, which you should already know if you're watching a video from me at this point. So yeah, 16, unless like it scales with voltage, 16 should not work at 3600 megahertz. But we're not here for that. We're here to see if the TRCD is terrible or not. So we're going to try 2222. We're not going to adjust anything, right? Like it's posting, so... Okay, so 2222. I mean, 2222 is horrifically loose, so if that didn't work, I'd be very upset. Let's try 202040. Okay, that still works. Cool. If we can do like 1818, that would be pretty neat. Just straight 18s. Yeah. If we could go below 18, that would be impressive. So let's try TRCD-RD18. Actually, no, let's just go straight to 18. Like, what's the worst it's going to do? F9? Or 22, I guess. Yeah, sure. So 22 normally means that the recovery is not going to work. Like, it's not going to give us the F1 overclocking error. message, and yeah, it's just going to be stuck on 22. Or, yeah, it's just going to start going through random postcodes every time you hit reset that are, like, not good. So we're going to hit the clear CMOS. We're going to try that again, but with more volts. We're going to try 18, 18, 18, but at, like, 1.4. 1.4. You don't really want to whack the voltage way too high, way too fast, because on some ICs, once you go past a certain voltage level, your stuff, everything gets worse, not better. I should just disconnect the SSD that's plugged in. Like, I'm not using it. Oh no, the profiles are not working. $3,600. 18, 40. I mean, it could, at this point, I should do like 38 or 36 even, but started out loose. 1.4, then we're going to hit F. Oh, right, that's broken, so we're going to do this manually. OC profile, overclock, save over 3. Yes. I really wonder what causes that to bug out. I wonder if FB can recover. Yeah, because it's not supposed to be doing that. And now it's doing 22. Okay, so that doesn't work. So it looks like it has a pretty hard TRCD wall, which is very sad, because that just means it's like Samsung's take on Rev E. So it looks like I'm probably just going to be buying up a bunch of B-die, because it's just like there's a very, very real possibility that B-die is going to be the best DDR4 IC ever made, and like nothing's ever going to replace it in terms of performance. Which means if you want good DDR4, you better start buying like a lot of B-die, like now. So yeah. Because there was a similar situation on DDR3. Actually, there's exactly the same situation on DDR3 where there's like a bunch of really old memory chips that come in like 2 gig sticks, 1 gig sticks, right? And like the most modern one that's actually decent is like a 4 gig stick. So, and it was really rare. The one decent one was really, really rare. So, let's try that. Yeah, basically there's like 4 or 5 ICs on DDR3 that are really old and just better than everything that got released after them, in terms of performance. So, you know, it would not be particularly weird for DDR4 to end up in the same situation where it's like the best memory chips you can get on DDR4 are Samsung E-die, so the 4 gigabit memory chip, and then Samsung B-die, which is the 8 gigabit memory chip, and then everything else is basically kind of trash. Oh, and 4 gigabit AFR was kind of decent. Like, that wasn't too weak either. Okay, I doubt it'll do CL16 at 1.4 volts, so we're going to bump it up to 1.45 and try 16. So TRCD 19 seems to be, yeah, it walls like CJR. So CJR, like average bin rev E, you know, basically seems to behave like that, which is just like, yay, we really needed more of that. Thank you, Samsung. The thing is, of course, the memory manufacturers couldn't care less about the overclocking performance. They only bin JDEC. So it's just like, if it does 3200 CL20, then it's good enough for them. Because it's also good enough for all the data centers. And that's their main customer base, right? Like, overclockers, like, they don't even register on their, like, their yearly reports as a segment of the market that they need to care about. Like probably less than like very likely like 0.1% or less than 0.1% is like, oh yeah, this is memory sold to overclockers. It's just like, well, that's why they don't care about having about pushing the actual like anything other than like frequency forward on the memory chips. So yeah, I guess let's try whack 1. Well, we are at 1.45 volts, and now it'll do 3600 CL16, so it should also do 3200 CL14 at this point. But that's not all that useful, so let's see if it'll do TRP16. Because TRP on a lot of ICs will actually go significantly below your TRCD. But on the Intel platforms, your TRCD and TRP are linked. So on Intel platforms, this would actually right now be rather limiting, right? Like you couldn't run 16, 19, 16. You'd be stuck at 16, 19, 19. Let's try 15. Oh, it does that. Okay, so CJR actually has a pretty high TRP limit. So see if it'll do 14. And nope. I don't think it'll recover from a 90. So I wonder if we just whack a bunch of voltage if like TCL and TRP will come down. Because it looks like it might. Like TCL scales with voltage, obviously. TRP I didn't really test for. Okay, we're going to have to clear CMOS again. I said F1, damn it. No. Oh. And now we're going to load up 3. So we can do... So 16... I want to do 14. I want to try do 14. So we're going to try 14, 19, 15. And we're going to whack a whole bunch of voltage into it. This doesn't seem to be scaling particularly negatively yet. So... yeah, and at this point, like, past 1.5 volts, so, the deal with, like, safe DDR4 voltage is that officially the memory manufacturers only check that the memory chips don't immediately die at 1.5 volts. That is not to say that 1.5 volts can't damage them. It just can't kill them instantly. So they should survive, like, short-term exposure to 1.5 volts. Now, a lot of ICs can actually tolerate way more than that, right? If you've ever seen me overclock B-die when I actually want to go fast, then you know that I'll happily whack 2 volts into it because B-die just can take it. But there's no actual requirement from JDEC that the memory chips have to be able to withstand voltages that high. So once you start going past 1.5 volts, there's a pretty good chance that the chip will up and die. And like, if it's not a memory chip where you know for a fact that there's been tons of other people running it at insane voltages and nobody's ever had it die. Yeah, if you start going much over 1.5 volts, there's a pretty decent chance it could just up and die on you immediately. Yeah, that's kind of concerning, but hey, I'm like the stick was cheap and I want to do 3600 CL14, so I've not actually killed a memory stick yet. I should probably buy some Samsung C-die and kill... like, apparently C-die is really, really bad with the whole... you apply too much voltage and it immediately up and dies. Okay, so this TCL seems to scale with voltage pretty happily. That's cool. So it actually... so let's see what the TRFC is like at this point, right? Because... 3614, that's, I mean, it's a 1.6 volts, so that's not great. But maybe if you went through enough memory chips, you know, started binning a couple of them, you might find one that doesn't suck. So we're going to set 600 initially, which is very loose. At 3600 megahertz, you know, for me to be impressed, we need this doing like sub 300 for boot. But the thing is, generally, as you move to the smaller manufacturing, the smaller manufacturing nodes for various memory chips, generally have worse TRFC worse and worse TRFC requirements, because the smaller memory cells are actually worse at maintaining charge. So smaller memory cells basically leak data faster, so you need to refresh them more frequently in order to not get memory corruption. And well, that's bad news for the TRFC timing, because TRFC is just like the lower you can run the TRFC, that basically the better at holding charge the memory cells are. So that's why a lot of the modern memory chips are just so bad at TRFC, is because, well, they're made on a smaller manufacturing process. So the TRFC goes with that. Okay, so we can do 550. Also, TRFC does scale with voltage, so I should probably back it off at some point, because TRFC at 1.6 volts is not reflective of TRFC capabilities at 1.5 volts. It's slightly better. It's not like a huge difference. Well, actually, I've never really done a proper scaling test. And 500, so this is like Rev E. This is like Samsung's take on Rev E. Which I'm very sad about. I was really hoping that we'd get something that's like, I was hoping for like a worthy successor to B-Die. This isn't a worthy successor to B-Die. This is just a it's a Rev E alternative, which we also have CJR, which is a great Rev E alternative, and there's DJR, which is like a revised version of CJR. That's another great Rev E alternative. So, yay! This is exactly what we needed. And that's broken again. It's really funny how that just randomly comes and goes. Like, I really... Yeah, this is just broken now. Fun. So, we're going to back off the voltage. Because obviously, like, I would not recommend most people run their system at 1.5 volts. I do think I'm going to do... Like, I'm not going to do it in this video, but I do want to do a really high voltage test to see if, like, at 2 volts it immediately up and dies or something. So, well, I'm not going to just go straight to 2 volts. I'm going to walk it up and see if it dies immediately at any one point. Because here's the thing. If the memory chip up and dies instantly at, like, 1.7 volts, maybe running it at 1.5 volts isn't such a great idea, considering that, you know, there's other memory chips where it's just, like, they can take 1.7 volts basically indefinitely. It's just unknown what it'll do to like your memory controller. And in the case of B-Die, if you whack 1.7 volts into it, it gets very temperature sensitive and very it's not very stable at that kind of voltage. So 19, 15. At this point I should be able to run like a 35 there, which means we should be able to do 50 TRC. And probably like 560 for TRFC. Let's try that. All right, we're at 1.5 volts right now. Oh no, it does not like that at all. I guess it's probably the TCL timing. So evidently, yeah, we need that 1.6. So maybe on like Intel platforms, it would probably like X299 might not be bad for this. Because X299's memory controller doesn't have the TRCD TRP link. It just does it just sets them separately. It's just mainstream Intel, where Intel was like, yeah, you don't need a separate TRP timing. Screw you. And yeah, so... Which is kind of annoying, because on a lot of ICs, you can run TRP, like, much lower than TRCD, or at least a couple, or even on B-Die, you can actually run it normally about a tick below TRP, or maybe even 2 ticks below TRP. So, yeah, it's pretty annoying, in my opinion, that Intel does not support, you know, like, separate TRP and TRCD timings, but, oh well. So, 16... Nope, still F9. I wonder if it's the TRC timing then. Because TRC tends to be kind of It could also be my TRFC setting. Like, actually, it could be anything because I just set a bunch of stuff while dropping the voltage, and it was like, well, that was a dumb idea, wasn't it? And now it's not going to recover. Yeah, it's not going to recover. Safe boot should be a mandatory feature. Like, motherboards with safe boot when you're memory overclocking are just so much nicer to work with because you can just not give a damn about saving profiles. Because if it doesn't post, you just hit safe boot, try to fix your settings, and then it still doesn't post, just hit safe boot again. No, I've heard apparently that on AMD there's actually some like glitches with safe boot. And that's broken again. Yay. Load 3. Let's go to OC. So I have a, so we're going to have to do like 16, 19, 19, 16, 37, 53. Yep. And let's start with like 580. 1.5. Though the fact that this is so easy to run, it means that it might be kind of interesting for like dual rank configurations, right? Just the fact that it goes all the way up to 4666 on so very easily, is like, yeah, this might be pretty neat in like a dual rank configuration. Because in dual rank, it doesn't matter so much that your timings are terrible as long as you can clock high enough. And well, this can clock, it just doesn't time. But the same is same is true for CJR, DJR, Rev E, right? All the other sort of like lower cost ICs out there that don't completely suck, can do this. So it's not really much of a win. I should probably just give up on the TRFC. Still broken. I feel like it's more broken after the clear CMOS than otherwise. And I really need to save like this profile with the proper TRCDs on it. Except, yeah, no, I can't. 16, 16. You know, it might actually have a TRAS wall, right? Because I was just leaving it at 40 at the entire time. Well, okay, let's try 600. So I've been kind of toying with the idea of maybe buying a bunch of this in dual rank, because I did find a store that's selling the dual rank sticks of this relatively cheap. But again, it's like once you start buying like 32 or because you can get 16 gig sticks of this, so I was like, well, you could test 64 gigs with it, but once you get up to 64 gigs, it doesn't matter how, like, even like cheap 16 gig sticks are like 70 quid, so you end up at like almost 300 pounds for 64 gigs of RAM, and it's just like, well, oh wait, is it 1.4 volts? Okay, well, dumb me. I'm kind of interested if it'll do like really low TCL if you just whack enough voltage into it. Right? Like at 1.6 it'll do CL14, so well, or did it? I think it did it, right? Can't remember at this point. I'll have to go, well, so at like maybe 1.75 it might do CL12. It might also up and die. right? Like that's the other concern is just like, yeah, I think you shove 1.75 volts into it and it's gone. So we're not going to do that just yet. And it looks like it might have been a TRC wall because the TRC is very, very loose on auto, but that's sad because TRC is like a big, big timing for your performance. If your TRC is awful, well, your performance is awful with it. Like low TRC helps a lot in benchmarks. So let's do this. Let's try 70. Nope, that's not the timing. 70. Because a lot of the, like with say B die, you can literally just take your TRP, add it to your TRAS, and that works. And you can basically drop, like you can drop the TRAS on the ground. So 70 works. So I think Rev E has a limit at like 63-ish, or 60-ish. So might be the same here. This really looks like, you know, Samsung's version of Rev E. Like the timings that we're looking at is just like I've seen this before. This is Rev E. Yep. TRC wall at 60 at 3600 megahertz. Yep, that's Rev E. Very Rev E. Oh, posted? Or is it overclocking error? Oh. Oh. Made it. Okay. Might be on the sketchy side, though, with that timing at this point. Like, it might not be... like that ever stops me. Go lower. Let's try 56. Which would actually be like 16 plus 40 at that point. And... oh, it crashed. So, okay, 60 is already unstable. So, yeah, it has a TRC limit of around 60. It probably scales with voltage. But there's definitely a TRC limit. And it's pretty damn loose. So this is like Rev E, but with Samsung colors. Which is just like, that's exactly the opposite of what I was hoping for. We need to get into the BIOS and like drop the frequency or loosen the timing out before it manages to crash again. Why does this platform have so many damn voltage and frequency dividers? I think it locked up right as I hit reset. Like, save and reset. Let's see if it'll... I really hate it when you get, like, a set of memory settings where it's like, you can just about get into the BIOS, but it's not stable. Because it's just so much... okay, we did manage to get it to 466. So now it should be temporarily a bit more stable. I'm going to bump that up to, like, 63. And we can bump this back up to like 3600. And then we can be very sad about the TRC performance. Yay. So now can it run 484416? That is the next thing I'm wondering about, because that's like a standard set of B-die timings at TCWL 14. A lot of the time your TCWL will do 2 ticks or 2 ticks below your TCL. So let's try that. Yeah, so it's like Rev E. This is like super, super Rev E. Like, everything just... because the thing is, like, to be fair, like, these timings right here, those don't actually generally go lower on really any ICs. So that's kind of that. And then I guess we can try 4. Yeah, and it just trains to 10 on its own anyway, so that's fine. So this is Rev E. This is Samsung's take on Rev E, as far as I'm concerned. Like, it times the same. It's like, it even has decent voltage scaling. So yeah, I guess we'll start seeing these memory sticks pop up in 3600 CL6, 16 1919 kits, 3600 18 1919, right? Like these looser 3600 bins, that's where this should start showing up. Loose 3200, so 3200 CL14 would not surprise me. You might actually get like, well, no, I don't think you'll see like a 3200 1616. I don't think you'll see that because the TRCD can't do that. Like it doesn't do 200 megahertz per tick. It does a little, like it does a bit less than that. So you know the usual. If it does, if your TRCD frequency to TRCD ratio is less than 200, not B-die. If it's above 200, has to be B-die. Basically, is the current. Unless you're crucial. If you're crucial, then you somehow manage to bin so much Rev E that it does 4000 at TRCD 19, which is insane. But yeah. Oh, and we have UCLK and MCLK divided by 2. So right now the performance would suck, but we can fix that. I kind of want to... I can't help myself. I wonder what it'll do at 1.8 volts. We're going to try 2T. I mean, CL12 is what I'm planning. Right? And it doesn't post. Oh, I guess it might not like the SCLs being at 4. Or it doesn't like the voltage. Right, like, it is very possible that it just straight up doesn't like the... Oh, yeah, it doesn't seem to be very happy about that. So, I guess it rolls over somewhere between 1.8 and 1.6. Which would not be that surprising, but... And now it's like it still doesn't post, and it's like, oh, I killed it. I'm dumb. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Right? You're fine. Post, damn it. There we go. I might have not liked the SCLs. I actually don't really care. Well, the thing is, those do actually make a pretty decent difference to your like memory read and write bandwidths, but I'm not that concerned about those as much as I'm concerned about my ability to run CL12. Though I think like it might like the subtimings might not scale with the voltage, so we're just gonna load that. So like the turnaround timings might not scale with the voltage. So let's go to 1.65. And we're going to go 14, 19, 19, 15, well, 16. The thing is, if you can't, like, well, 63, 580, TWR. This should, well, yeah, this should do 12 at this point. 4, 8, 4, 4. 16, 14. Actually, this might do 12 at this point. There. TCK1, turnaround timing configuration. We're going to leave those alone. And we're going to not touch anything else either. So... Now I'm pretty sad. I was really hoping that this would be impressive in some way. And I guess the frequency capabilities are decent, but... It's like, why can't you do freaking TRCD lower than 19? Why is it that everything just stops at 19 these days? What is it about 19 at 3600 megahertz that makes memory chips not want to go below that? Okay, so I'm pretty sure we need more voltage than this. And we're going to try 1.7. It probably was the SCL timings. Like, it could be the voltage. There are definitely ICs out there where if you whack enough voltage into them, they'll just stop working. As in, they'll stop posting and training, and they'll be very upset with you because it's just like, everything is wrong because you're shoving too much voltage in us. But, well, shall we see? 12? I think 1.7 is a bit low for that, considering that 14 needs, yeah, 1.6. Please recover. Well, it looks like it actually managed to recover. Yay. So obviously we just need more voltage. And I know I said that it might not like the volts, but... Yeah, so this also just doesn't scale with voltage that great either. So yeah, this IC is pretty depressing in my opinion. This is the future of DDR4 right here. It's newer, it costs Samsung less to manufacture, and it times like garbage. Okay, it's not actually garbage, right? It's still not like, say 8 gigabit AFR or 8 gigabit MFR, where it's like if you can do 3466, that's an achievement. And if you can't do 3466, that's just what the chips do, right? Yeah. So I wonder if it's rolling over or if it's just like it just doesn't scale. Because not scaling is different from rolling over. Rolling over is if you crank up the voltage and the stability gets worse. Whereas not scaling is you crank up the voltage and nothing happens. This actually looks like it's rolling over. It might also be the TCWL12. I might have been a bit too aggressive with that. Might be rolling over. Should have kept the TCWL at 14, but, you know. That would be way too, like structured and organized in terms of my overclocking procedure. And if I'm anything, it's a mess. Oh, come on, freaking recover. I mean, I know it won't recover because it's not getting stuck on F9. It's just going through the random postcodes and then not doing anything. So we need to clear CMOS, but damn it. So, yeah, that's D-die, everybody. Clock's high, time's loose. Honestly, looks like Rev E, except like you could accuse Samsung of buying Micron Rev E and like rebranding it. And considering the timing behavior, yeah, that sounds pretty realistic. It's like, wait, you mean this isn't actually Rev E? Because I could have sworn from the timings it is. So, which is very sad. So, yay, D-die. So evidently, there's no point. Like, it doesn't really seem to like. Here's the thing: if it can't even do TCWL12, then it's already like, yeah, I wouldn't really try to bench with this stuff. What else is there? Like, it's viable for daily, right? It's not really any worse than Rev E is, so it's just like you can't really complain about that too much. And somebody's like, you didn't do any stability testing, so we're actually going to do a stability test. So we're going to go to the OC profiles. 3, load, yes. So we're going to go to the timings, and we're just going to set everything as I think it should be set. But it's not, like, it hasn't up and died at 1.8 volts, even though it does seem to be rolling over, and... that's like, well, it's not incredible, but it's not like it at least doesn't up and die, right? Like, that's a good thing. So then we go 60, well, let's try 63. It should do that. 580. It might do less than that, but again, like, I just can't be bothered that much. 16, 4, 8, 4, 4. 16, 14, 1, and we're gonna let that go. That's gonna be that, and we're gonna see how much memtest it can do. Admittedly, it's like a single 8 gig stick, so we can only run like a 6 gig instance. So I'm gonna have to make a 6 gig instance. Does it even get into Windows? That's actually a good question, because just getting into Windows is often more stability demanding than a posting at all. But this board does sometimes like false start. So yeah, see, told you. Sometimes it false starts. Like it'll do a post where it'll get to the splash screen and then it'll just reset and start over. And it's just like the board just does that. It's not really a Like, I guess it might be kind of annoying if you're not used to boards doing weird things to you, but I'm very used to boards doing weird things to me. So, because I've used too many motherboards, which is also why my opinion on like who's the best motherboard vendor is like they all suck. They've all made bad boards. They all make bad boards, and they've all made bad boards. They make bad boards, and they will make bad boards. And at any given time, somebody's gonna like for any given price point. There's definitely a best board, but there's no specific brand that's best at every single price point. Because apparently that's really difficult to just like it's really hard to have a good high end and not screw up your low end at the same time for some reason. So how does this instance look? That's not 6 gigs, is it? That's 400 plus 400. It's not freaking 6. Who the hell made that? That's 6. Yeah. Yeah, so we don't have maximum on this, so let's just go test 6. And now it starts puking out errors like no tomorrow. Actually, no, it's actually, well, obviously you'd want to run this to like 400% stability before you even begin considering it fully stable, but, well, actually, if I run to 400%, that's just like, that's fully stable for me. So, yeah, also you should actually have like 1 instance per thread on your CPU, but, It's actually relatively stable. That's not that bad. I was kind of worried it was going to be a hell of a lot worse. Like, it's not erroring. So, I don't really want to, like, there's no need for me to pad the video with watching memtest run. So, we may as well, actually, like, the thing is, if we do a bandwidth test, the bandwidth's going to be half of what it should be just because we're on 1 memory channel instead of 2. But, yeah, we're just going to hit memory latency, which I expect awful things. Is the MemCLK at... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, it's at UCLK half. Give me a second. Yeah, see, that's why the latency was so bad. That shouldn't really affect stability too much. So I fully expect to see the same kind of latency you see from Rev E. So around 65, 66 nanoseconds. Oh, 68. It's a bit. Oh, right, no, because it's a 3600, and normally yeah, okay, yeah. So Rev E, it's literally just like Rev E CJR type IC, where I think like CJR does slightly tighter TRFC, and that actually translates into a decent performance advantage for CJR in most cases, especially in this frequency range. Like CJR goes tighter. CJR just doesn't clock as high, so that's always fun. Where it's just like, oh yeah, this technically does lower like better timings in a like more restricted frequency range when you have ICs like that. So yeah. That's the Samsung D-Die. It's very unimpressive in my opinion. Yeah. So there we go. That's D-Die. It clocks really high though. Like that actually might be something like if like I want to try it on Z390. Like this might be good for max frequency attempts. Because yeah, like 4666, like that, like it maxed out this motherboard as far as I'm concerned, which is like that's decent. It's actually decent. So I'm thinking, yeah, if I stick that, like, I want to now try it on like Z390 and see where it tops out on a Z390 board, as well as some of the stronger X570 motherboards I have, like say the Godlike or maybe some of the ITX boards I have, and see if we can't do like I still haven't done 5 gigahertz memory. Just like it makes me very sad, but I've not done 5 gigahertz memory. Like on Z390, my CPU's memory controller just hits a rock hard wall at like 4900. Um, and on Ryzen, well, honestly, like I think it's just a case of the Rev E I have not being that great, because on Ryzen I can boot any of my Rev E sticks up to like 4733, and past that it's just no go whatsoever. So, yeah, this might actually be pretty solid for like at least for my own personal max frequency attempts, but yeah, in terms of actual like day-to-day performance, just go by like, well, it'll probably end up in, as I said, 3600 CL18, 3200 CL16, 32. If this ends up in 3200 CL16, like if we start seeing well, I'll assume that over time we're going to see AFR, MFR, 8 gigabit, all of these chips will start getting phased out, and getting replaced by the new, lower manufacturing process 8 gigabit chip. So over time, you might start seeing 3200 CL16 kits being more in line with this in terms of overclocking capabilities, instead of being just a lot of the time completely terrible, right? Because it's just like a lot of the time, if you buy a 3200 CL16, you're going to get an AFR, you're going to get an MFR, and well, if you have an AFR, have fun trying to go over like 3400 megahertz. It's not fun. So, yeah, whereas if you ended up with something like this in your 3200 CL16 kit, that would actually be pretty solid. Like that would actually be pretty solid for a 3200 CL16. Though at the same time, I think a lot of the memory vendors will just bin it into a 3600 CL16 in that case instead, and charge you extra because hey, it's the same exact chip, just like clocked to 400. Well, no, it needed decent voltage for that. So I know 3618 though. 3618 is 3200 CL16 equivalent. So yeah, they could bin it for that. That wouldn't be any problem. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thank you to, the patrons for making it possible for me to like buy the memory stick, the 3700X. Thank you to MSI for providing the motherboard. Yeah, that's it. So like, share, subscribe, leave any comments, questions, suggestions down in the comment section below. And if you'd like to support what I do here with actually hardcore overclocking, I do have a Patreon. There's a link to that down in the description below. And then I also have the AHOC Teespring store where you can find shirts, stickers, posters. There's a new poster on there right now. I do design all the merch, by the way. And yeah, if you don't want to use the Patreon and instead want to buy some merch instead, that would be awesome as well. There's a link to the Teespring store down in the description below as well. So yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.